Okay, so we're talking the probability scale. Okay. So this is the numeric, we said, probability scale. Now, yesterday though, we were talking numeric but in different values. Is everyone paying attention to me? Because a lot of people are still writing but not what I'm doing. You're doing tables and things which are not necessary, okay, at the moment. Do you remember what values we gave our number scale yesterday? So we had 0 at one end, 1 at the other, which is what we've got, but what was in the middle?
Even.
So we had
0.5.
even, 0.5, or a half, or 50%. Do you remember we did say 0.5 as well though, yeah? If you see on your scale. So this scale has been turned into decimals, and the reason for that is because probability, as I showed you the other lesson, is written as a fraction. Okay, so do you remember the probability of something happening on a dice? Well, 6 out of 6, so halfway was actually 3 out of 6. 0 would be 0 out of 6. And then if we had something that was unlikely on a dice, what would the probability be? So the probability of getting a 1 on a dice is quite unlikely, and the probability is? 1 out of 6. Okay. So we have 1 out of 6. Okay. When we had a pack of cards, we have 52 cards, so it's 52 out of 52. We've got 0 out of 52 here. What was evens when you've got 52 cards? Seraphine? 26 out of 52. Yes. Right. And then something that was likely to happen would have a probability of, Sophie?
46 over 52.
46 out of 52. Okay. Now, the reason is everything will have a different fraction depending on what the total number of outcomes could be. So a dice only has 6 outcomes. Cards have 52 outcomes. Picking someone from this room has how many outcomes? 9. Okay. Now, fractions are all different, but what do you know about fractions? They can all be turned into decimals, and they're all the same. So 1, 6 out of 6, 52 out of 52 is always 1. 26 out of 52, 3 out of 6, 1 out of 2 is always 0.5. So if we use decimals, we can kind of standardize things. Everything is can be written on the same scale. Okay. Now, the easiest way though, when we do and we write probabilities, we would do it as a fraction, and if we want to convert it into a decimal, we can. But this question starts us on decimals, and it leads to this thing about 1 is always the total possibility. So when it says the probability of A happening is 0.2, yeah? So that could mean 2 out of 10, it could mean 4 out of 20, it could mean whatever, we don't know, but it's 0.2. We don't even know what A is at the moment. It could be picking a blonde-haired person from a classroom. We don't know. We don't know what it is. Okay? We do know it's 0.2. Now, the question is, if the probability of getting A is 0.2, what is the probability of not getting A? Now, obviously, A and not A is everything. So the probability of not A must be
0.8.
0.8. So we can write at 0.8 is the probability of not A. Because 0.2 plus 0.8 equals 1. Okay, make sense? If we have a look at B, B is 0.3, So the probability of not B is
0.7.
0.7. So we have that there as not to be, because 0.3.
If I did A dash
plus-
and Q dash.
Yeah, that's fine as well. So 0.3 plus 0.7 is 1 as well. If we then look at C, so if C, the probability of C happening is 0.6,
0.4.
Tabitha?
0.4.
0.4. So 0.4 is not C, because 0.6 plus 0.4 equals 1. Now, just to introduce you to the notation that a couple of you have asked, okay, D then has a probability of 1, was it?
Oh, no.
So what I do, okay, it's probably the wrong one to choose, if I know that the probabilities must add up to 1, so the probability of D plus the probability of not D must equal 1, that means not D probability must be 1 minus the probability of D. Yeah? Make sense? Because 1 minus 0.2 was 0.8 and so on, yeah? So what is 1 minus the probability of D? Well, probability of D is 1, so we have 1 minus 1, which makes 0. So the probability of D happening is 1, the probability of not D must be 0. So in the same way with these other ones, look, 1 minus 0.2 is 0.8. Okay. 1 minus 0.3 was the 0.7 that we worked out. And finally, for C, 1 minus the 0.6 that we know gives me the 0.4 that we wanted to know. All right? Make sense? So it's just about making things add up to 1. So that means the next question is quite simple. Do you want to write all that down now? Yeah? Okay, I'll pause it there. Let's have a look at this question 2, girls. So I think you most of you are there. Girls over here have just been waiting for us to tell them the answer. Oh, Serafina's done it. So Giselle's still writing out the table. Takes her a long time. Right, I've only done the first few, but I want to show you. So P just stands for the probability of A happening. So what you might have seen before is writing this: probability of A, probability of B, probability of C, probability of D happening. Okay? Right. Now if the probability of A happening is 1 out of 4. Now, I don't know what we could come up with if we've got 4 counters in a bag, all of a different colour. What's the probability of getting a red one? That's 1 out of 4. Okay. It doesn't really matter what the event is, but if the probability of A happening is 1 out of 4, now this 1 minus the probability is the probability of it not happening. Okay. So it's the probability of it not happening. And what we have to do is say, does it add up to 1? That's the question, right? So if we look out of 4, the probability when it's out of 4, 1 would be 4 out of 4. So it's got to add up. If it's P happening, or A happening, A not happening. Well, what's left? If we've got 1 out of 4, it must be, Jana?
3 out of
3 out of 4. Okay. So this would be 3 out of 3 to make 1, so this must be, Millie?
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3. If this is 3/4, it has to be 4 out of 4, Sophie?
1 out of 4.
1 out of 4. And Giselle, if it's 1 out of 10, it has to be 10 out of 10. So the probability of D not happening is?
It would be... I don't know.
No, not based on everything else we've said. You have no idea?
No, I
Either?
don't.
Pardon?
9.
9.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, good. So these two numbers have to add up to the bottom one, don't they? Okay. So the other ones, if the probability of E is 2 out of 15, the probability of not E, Millie?
13 out of 15.
13 out of 15, good. Okay. If the probability of F, Jamie, is 7 out of 8, the probability of F not happening must be 1 out of 8. And Seraphima, if the probability of G happening is 7 out of 9, the probability of it not happening?
6, 9.
Nope. If it's 7 out of 9, it's got to add up to 9 out of 9. What's left?
Because we're this
Pardon?
8,
12
9.
deck.
So 7, 9 and 8 ninths would make 9, 9. 9 out of 9.
Just do 9 minus 7.
So we're doing 9 out of 9, take away 7 out of 9. The answer is
It's 40.
not quite. Closer. No. I would have accepted something 9. 9 take away 7 is 2. I knew you were.
Mr.
2 out.
Fox, so do you mean those could be equivalent fractions? For example, 7 over 8 and 1 over 8 and stuff?
No, they're not
No,
equivalent,
they're
are
not,
they?
because like, yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not equivalent because they're different. They go together in probability sense. Okay. Alright. Now, just for the next bit, before we go on to the rest of the questions, let's just check if you fully understand a couple of things. Right. Playing cards. Let's check, because this is important actually. Playing cards, let's check you understand what they are. So we know that there are
Cards.
52 cards. Okay? We know there are what we call 4 suits. Okay? The 4 suits, do you know the names?
Diamonds.
Laser. Diamonds, hearts.
Diamonds,
Okay,
hearts.
Squares.
I'm going to go for
Diamonds, heart.
diamonds,
Hearts.
which are
Red.
red,
Spades.
hearts, which are
Spades.
red.
Spade, which are black.
Yeah, and then we've got difficult trying to remember how to draw them. Okay,
It's like an upside down heart.
Spades.
is that the upside? Is it
Yeah.
upside down?
And then
No, it's
Last
not.
one.
Should it be that way?
yes.
Is
Yeah.
that spades?
Yeah.
Yeah, spade.
Okay, so you've got spades that way, and then
They're like sort of
Clown.
They're like a clover.
Broccoli.
Clover.
broccoli.
Clover.
So these are called spades. These are
Broccoli.
called
Those are broccoli.
clubs.
Oh,
Okay, these are
Isn't that
called
for playing golf?
diamonds, and these are called the
And
hearts.
clubs for playing golf.
Only if they're golf clubs. Could be a wooden club. I don't know what I'd use that for. Okay,
Maximum Wednesday.
there are 13 lots of each colour, or suit, sorry, not colour, because there are 26 reds and 26 blacks. Okay. To explain, every suit is made up of the same set of cards. So, we would have a king, queen, a jack,
Then one
Okay.
take
king, queen, jack, and it's important that you recognise them. They've got some names. Face cards, they're called.
Picture.
Court cards is their original name.
Picture.
Picture cards. Okay. And then of course, after that, you've got 10, 9, blah blah blah, 4, 3, 2, and finally an ace. Okay. So they are the cards. So that will help you in determining.
And then there's two jokers, but you don't.
Well, jokers aren't actually included in the pack of cards, are they? They're for certain games. Okay.